All right, we are back at the All In podcast. Me and Eli are here. We just got done talking about the Celtics Raptors game 6 that happened last night. So if you're listening on YouTube, make sure you go check out that video as well. It'll be posted separate. So we now want to do NFL bold predictions. Season is starting tonight with Chiefs Texans. It kind of doesn't even feel real that it's starting because there was no preseason. Like it just snuck up on us, right?
Right.
So we're not. If you listen to us on Couch Coaches Live on Tuesday night, we did predictions for every division. We did Super Bowl pick too. So and wildcard teams.
Yep.
We're not doing quite that on this episode. What we are doing is bold predictions. So these are a little more off the radar. What do you think is going to happen that no one is really expecting? So we've got 3 each. Eli, I'll let you go first.
All right. So this kind of does coincide with one of my picks from our Couch Coach Live appearance. And it is the Cleveland Browns making the playoffs. Yes, Browns fans rejoice. It's finally going to happen. This is the year that the Browns make the playoffs. I think they barely get in because there's going to be 3 teams from the AFC North. In my opinion, that's going to make it. And they squeak in at like 9-7, maybe 8-8, depending on how bad the rest of the AFC is. Probably 9-7.
Right.
But I think the offense here is going to be much improved. Obviously, they've had the coaching change that we've talked about a couple of times. I think on our fantasy episode, you had mentioned it. And then again, we talked about it on Couch Coach Live. They have, the same, coach who was under or had Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook, that type of offense. Right, with the Vikings,
Yep.
Which we think is going to fit Baker Mayfield's style better. Having him play off a play action and a run heavier offense, which could lead to possibly a Nick Chubb rushing title, possibly. And everybody's worried about Kareem Hunt, but like Kareem Hunt's going to have a much different role this year than what he did last year. He was kind of just like, stepping in as a third down back or as their receiving back. I think he's going to be more than that this year. Like they're talking about using him as a slot receiver in some sets and things like that. So I think they want to get him more involved in the passing game, maybe jet sweeps type of thing, 2 running back sets with him and Chubb out of the backfield.
Yep.
So I think we see, especially after they just paid him $7.5 million over the next for each of the next 2 seasons, they're going to find ways to manufacture touches for him. And I think the other person they're going to try to find ways to manufacture touches for is Odell Beckham, who was underwhelming last year, as everyone knows. But
it was a shitty season.
Yeah, I mean, their offense was just bad in general outside of Nick Chubb.
It was shitty.
Yo, I don't know how I didn't catch that at first. Yo, I think he handled that really well.
I think he did too.
If he just had some fun with it.
There's no way it's real anyway.
There's no way it's real at all, but it was hilarious to see all the memes and stuff. But anyway, yeah, so, Odell will not be a number 2 receiver this year. I'm sorry, I cannot myself.
Well, we're on a roll.
But yeah, Odell's going to have a step up this year. Like I could see, 1,300 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns maybe for Odell. Seeing him come back to that true wide receiver 1, in fantasy terms, because he has that kind of talent. He's one of the most talented receivers in the league. At the end of the day, it's just about getting the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And I think this new offense will help them do so. And of course, you have Jarvis Landry, who is as steady as they come. So, I'm not really concerned. And Austin Hooper, their offseason addition at tight end, I think is going to be huge for them. He's very athletic, skilled tight end. It gives them just another weapon. And, obviously he's an upgrade from Njoku, for this team. So you're talking about 2, different kind of backs. You're between the tackles guy and Nick Chubb, and then your elusive guy and Kareem Hunt, who's probably going to, I'd say you can look for about 500 receiving yards plus from him this year. Probably 500 rushing yards, somewhere in that range, maybe. I don't know. But, I think the Browns offense will be much improved. And I think they have a pretty solid defense, which will be good enough to get them into the playoffs in a weaker AFC. So my prediction, Browns will make the playoffs for the first time in God knows how long.
I like it too, especially with the expanded playoffs this year. So there's going to be 3 wild card teams. 7 teams are going to make it from each conference. So I think that gives them a better chance as well. I do think they're better. I think they're better than last year. Listen, they went 6-10 last year. I think that, any capable head coach or any close to capable head coach is about 4 wins better than Freddie Kitchens. Maybe 3.5. So I'd see there being in the 9-10 win range as well. And they added pieces, addressed the offensive line needs. That was probably one of the biggest things last year was the O-line. So they added to that. That's going to be huge. We'll see about Baker though. This will be the make or break year for Baker Mayfield.
Agreed.
So my first prediction is actually kind of tied to Baker Mayfield, and it involves his rookie touchdown passing record that he set in his rookie year. My first bold prediction is that Joe Burrow will break that record, and he'll throw 30 touchdowns this year. The record's 27. I got him going all the way to 30 and just crushing Baker's record. Listen, I like Joe Burrow a lot. Last year, LSU was one of the most impressive pro-style quarterback seasons we've ever seen in college football. And listen, he's not a typical rookie either. He's kind of old for a rookie. He's kind of old, right? I think he's 23 right now. He'll be 24 pretty soon. So he's like a mature guy. Bengals actually have some weapons. We don't know what AJ Green is going to give them, but if he's there at all, it's a huge boost. And then Tyler Boyd is solid. Hail to Pitt. Joe Mixon is one of the 10 most elusive backs in the league, and they drafted T. Higgins as well, who I think is going to be pretty good.
Yeah,
obviously he's sometimes going to be running for his life with the offensive line.
Right.
That's always an issue with rookie quarterbacks and teams who are really bad, and they choose to get the quarterback instead of the offensive lineman. Typically, we see that guy running for his life in his first year.
Right.
But I think he's just that good for his age. I don't know. I don't necessarily project him to be one of these best guys ever or whatever. I don't know about any of that. I'm not making that prediction. I'm just making this season. I think that he's going to be he's going to step right in and be like an average quarterback, above or average to close to above average starting quarterback. So 30 touchdowns is definitely not out of the realm of possibility for Joe.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair, bold prediction, especially when you mention the weapons. The Bengals, when you look at their skill positions, are nothing to sneeze at all. Yeah. It's like you said, it's the offensive line is abysmal, which is really what holds them back from winning games, at all. So he's certainly going to be on the run back there. I think AJ Green will be solid this year. Honestly, that's the worst that you can expect from him is to be solid. For someone coming off who really hasn't played in 2 years,
right?
When you go back and look at it, but like you said, Tyler Boyd is a up and coming receiver who's developing nicely. Don't forget about John Ross, who has his spurts of being electric here and there. So that could help. But yeah, I think Bengals' future looks bright with Joe Burrow. They just got to get the line in front of him to protect him.
Yep. And I think that they're going to be losing a lot. I don't think they're going to win many games per se. So they're going to probably be behind in a lot and throwing a lot. So I could see him, averaging, if he averages if he starts every game, which of course I'm not really projecting injuries, but if he starts every game and he throws 2 touchdowns a game, he'll get to 30.
Yeah.
So I can see that. that. And he'll have a couple of 3 or 4 games in there. So, okay. So then I'll go next here. We'll just stick with me because I'm also staying in the AFC North once again. And, it's funny. We're talking about all these young quarterbacks now in the AFC North with Joe Burrow, and we mentioned the Browns and Baker Mayfield, and you got, of course, the defending MVP, Lamar Jackson. But I'm making a prediction about the Steelers, and that'll be that they're going to win the AFC North this year. We do not have that young quarterback, but we have an old one.
Yeah.
And he's not that bad when he's actually healthy. Last time we saw Ben Roethlisberger, he led the league in passing yards. So, obviously he got hurt first game last year, and we were the worst. I shouldn't say we, but I'm talking about the Steelers, and that's my team, so I'll say we. But, they went 8-8 with the worst offense in the league. I think that's something, right? Like worst offense in the league, but you're still an average team. So the defense is really good. The Fitzpatrick addition has been huge. TJ Watt is becoming one of the best edge guys in the whole league, and they're filling in that linebacker spot nicely.
Yeah.
Fourth biggest drop in DVOA from 2018 to 2019. So maybe there's some regression back to that. And I don't know if it's. I'm not saying more about the Steelers than I am saying about the Ravens here. I think this is more about the Steelers just being pretty good and getting better from where they were last year with Ben coming back.
Yeah.
But I also do expect a little bit of regression from Lamar Jackson, and a little bit of teams are starting to see, like, okay, how can we go at this guy? Usually now, and maybe they won't be able to figure it out. Usually when we have guys who are a different style, like you give them a year or two and teams start to figure something out. I don't know if teams will or not. And I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. I was coming out of Louisville. I think that he's still going to be, they're going to be good. They're going to be good. I don't think they're going to be 14-2. And I don't think they're going to be 12-4. And I think the Steelers are going to be 12-4. So I got the Steelers to win the division.
Yeah, I like the pick. I still have the Ravens winning the division, but there's no reason the Steelers can't, especially if Big Ben is healthy. And I think that's the biggest question mark at the end of the day, because the defense really carried the Steelers throughout a lot of last year. And with Big Ben getting up there, he's a little more injury prone, but obviously Big Ben being healthy is going to be great for Juju. Deontay Johnson, I think, is going to take a step forward this year if Big Ben's fully healthy.
Yeah.
The other question kind of is going to be like James Conner's health. Now the Steelers have good running back depth, and I don't think that's 100% necessary for them to win the division. But if James Conner can stay fully healthy to, some extent, and maybe find the form he was in a couple of years ago, the Steelers offense gets scary again.
Oh yeah,
it used to be. So, certainly a bold prediction. I have them in the playoffs. Don't quite know that they win the division because that Ravens team is just
they're good
on both ends. But
no, they're good. They're good.
I
mean, like it's hard to pick against the Ravens right now. I totally get that, and that's why this is a bold prediction. Not this is the average prediction. But hey, I like the Steelers. I think they get the best defense, and I think that matters the most. So
yeah.
All right, what's your second prediction?
So this one will have a lot of fantasy managers pretty hype. I'm going to say that Kyler Murray throws and runs for 5,000 yards, 4,500 through there, 500 on the ground, 500 plus on the ground. He's going to have an incredible season this year. And to me, I think it's because of the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Yeah.
He finally, he gets a number one target and really one of the best at that, to throw to. And I think that's the one thing he was really missing was like a big physical receiver who plays on the outside. Christian Kirk's more of a slot. Larry is older and really is more of a slot as well.
Yeah.
So he didn't really have anyone on the outside that he could go to and make plays to. And then also you're talking about a red zone threat. DeAndre Hopkins is as good as it comes in the red zone. But I think their running game is also going to be improved. It looked a lot better with Kenyon Drake, than it did with David Johnson, who I actually think will be better in Houston than he was in Arizona. But Kenyon Drake just kind of fits this spread rushing offense better than David Johnson did, even though Johnson was a good pass catcher as well. So he kind of made up for it in that regards. But Kenyon Drake can give you both. And then even, if you're worried about can he handle a full workload, they've got Chase Edmonds, who I think is a talented, backup for them. So they've got weapons for sure. And, with the way that they play that spread and open play style, I think we see Kyler Murray running more, which I think is what contributes to that number. Is maybe a few more designed runs. I don't think they'll get crazy with it, but like a few more designed runs for Kyler Murray. But DeAndre he threw for 3,700 without DeAndre Hopkins, I don't see why he can't throw for 45 with him or 42, and maybe he has like 800 rushing yards, something like that. You know what I mean? I think he's that talented of a runner.
Yeah.
So I predict some crazy numbers. You know, obviously, I think if he does this, they're probably a playoff team. So I don't know that he's
probably MVP, right?
Maybe. So, you know, we'll see. But it depends on if it equates to wins.
Yeah, right.
The Cardinals defense still isn't great. It's not bad, but not great. So, and they're in a tough division. Really, for him to do it in this division might be MVP worthy if he can just get them in the playoffs. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. I have a lot of faith in Kyler Murray. I think he has a huge second season with DeAndre Hopkins.
So let me ask you this: what other quarterback, what vet do you compare him the most to?
I would say like the closest that you can is Russell Wilson.
I would say Russell Wilson too.
But like he's so much faster than Russell Wilson is. But like, you know, Russell Wilson's a little heavier.
Yeah,
obviously. But yeah, I think closest you'd have to say is Russ.
And that's why I think it's a good prediction when you say he's gonna do 500 yards, but it's gonna be 4,500 of it is gonna be passing. Right. Like I think he wants to be more of the passer, and he's got the ability to. Like the dude he's accurate as hell.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's funny you say him and Russ both have the baseball thing too.
Yeah.
And you know, supposedly they're the short guys, even though I think Kyler's a little bit shorter than Russ. But it's really not going to be like Lamar Jackson last year. When we talk about Kyler Murray's rushing, like it's not going to be as many designed runs. He's not going to rush for 1,200 yards or whatever crazy number Lamar ran for.
Right.
But I love Kyler Murray. I love him. He's, you know, out of the young guys, he's got to be like top 2 on the list, not including Mahomes. But yeah, I love Kyler Murray. He was a big fantasy pick this year. Everyone wanted Kyler Murray, and I think for good reason.
I took him in our dynasty league.
Did you? Oh, dynasty league. That's a great. That's a great way to pick him in. I mean, the only thing you worry about is him getting hurt with him being so little, but he's never really gotten hurt. So
right. Yeah.
Okay, then you want me to give my last one, or you give your last one first?
I'll go last.
Okay. All right, so my third bold prediction, this is the boldest of my bold predictions, I would say, is Cam Newton will win NFL MVP this season. How about that? Calling the Patriots for MVP. And listen, like, I just think, you know, they're going to be good. I picked the Bills on Couch Coach Pod we did on Tuesday, but like I think I might switch it to the Patriots because like you just know Belichick's gonna have them guys ready to go. You know, like they do the thing. They are the kings of the bulletin board material. Like they see that people think that they were tanking, and they see that people think that they weren't going to be as good this year. And I think Cam Newton sees it too. He sees people saying he's not going to be as good, and he's done, and all that. And maybe people aren't saying as much as he internalizes and tells himself just to get that motivation. But he's going to be good. And I kind of like the scheme that they're going to be in. He's going to have his best offensive line he's ever had, which is huge. They're going to use him in different ways. He's got he doesn't have like the downplay, big play receivers, I don't think. But I don't think he really ever had those guys or really used those guys. Like he's not that type of thrower anyway. But like he's got like Edelman for the short stuff. N'Keal Harry's solid route runner, I think. Obviously he had a disappointing season last year, but I don't know if the style he wants to play fitted with what Tom Brady wanted to do. And maybe he fits a little bit better with Cam. And then also like the backfield combinations you can do where you could, potentially he could have James White on his left, Sonny Michel on his right. And you don't know if they're going to throw, pass, the run pass option we always talk about, but throw, pass. Like they could do a lot of different things on offense with Cam Newton and the personnel that they already have and that offensive line that they have. And, if the Patriots' biggest question mark is the defense, well, then they really don't have that many question marks, right? Because, Belichick's going to have those guys. They're going to be a top 5 defense. You can guarantee that every season almost. The Patriots will be a top 10, top 5 defense. Yeah. So if they come out here and they win 11, 12 games, they win their division, and he's probably not going to get to that, 5,000 number that you mentioned with Kyler Murray. But if he throws for 3,500, rushes for 700, or if he throws for if he reaches the 4,000 passing mark and he runs for 400, 500, but he's also scoring touchdowns and scoring a lot of touchdowns, and he's rushing for touchdowns and passing for touchdowns, he's going to be in the conversation. If they win 11, 12 games, he's going to be in the conversation. And I'm not betting against the Patriots to win less than 11 or 12 games.
Yeah. So, and honestly, Cam Newton has always been one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, it was sad to see the, how it went down in Carolina last year and how they just kind of, cut him. And his biggest thing is health, right? So, he looks healthy now. I actually think that year off is exactly what he needed to just get healthy. But he has a ton of bulletin board material to use, for this season, especially when at one point there was no market for him, right? And really the only team that made any kind of sense was the Patriots, and they were dragging their feet on bringing him in themselves. And then when he came in, they're like a QB battle with Jared Stidham. Like, we're talking about a former MVP being in a QB battle with like that was even a question. I don't know that it really was. I think, you just have to kind of say that because the kid was already there, but like it was obvious. And then he comes out of camp and he's not only the starter, not only does he win the starting job, he's a captain on the Patriots in his first year. And he wasn't even there for the first part of the offseason. Granted, wasn't much going on, but like, he's one of the least tenured guys in the locker room, and they voted him as a captain for their offense. To me, that says a lot, man, about what he's ready to bring to the table this year, just as far as his competitiveness, man. And I think that's all you need from someone with like his kind of talent, is to relight that fire under him. I mean, at bare minimum, comeback player of the year. And, he's already been an MVP caliber player. So, maybe it's a stretch to say it here in New England because he doesn't have a ton of weapons, but did he have them in Carolina? So, we'll see. And to be honest, with the coaching staff he has, especially I believe Josh McDaniels is still there, right? His offensive coordinator. Josh McDaniels makes things happen, man. He had Tim Tebow looking like like an NFL caliber quarterback for a little bit. So like, imagine what he can do with Cam Newton.
I agree. So let's end on this then. This will be our last quote unquote bold prediction, because we just, got done loving on the Patriots and how good we think the Patriots are going to be. So who's going to be better this year? Who's gonna win more games? We won't even say postseason. We'll just say who's going to win more games, Patriots or Bucks?
Win more games.
Win more games. We won't even talk about playoffs or Super Bowl. We'll just say 16 games. Who's going to win more games, Brady or Belichick?
I'm still going to go with the Bucks. I think they just have much more talent. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if the Patriots had the better record.
I think I'd go with the Patriots right now. I don't know. I'm not trusting the Bucks as much as a lot of people are. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm dumb for doubting Brady, but it's tough in the Bruce Arians offense. First year in Bruce Arians offense to throw the ball down the field. We'll see if he can do that. Yeah. And the continuity thing, Cam doesn't really have it either, but Cam's style, and I think Brady was throwing with those guys somewhere. They weren't supposed to be. They were doing stuff. But Cam's style is a little bit different where, he's running, he's throwing short passes. It's a lot different than a Bruce Arians offense where it's a lot of downfield stuff. Right. And I think the Patriots defense is better. I got the Patriots there. I'm riding high on the Patriots, man. I'm not going to gamble on them because, forget, F the Patriots forever. That's standard. But I'm high on them right now, man.
Definitely. So I got one more. One more prediction.
Go ahead.
And this one is the boldest of them all.
Oh, boy.
Julio Jones scores 10 touchdowns this year. Right? That doesn't sound like a crazy number. But he's only done it once in his career, right? And he has this weird thing where he just doesn't get in the end zone. He hovers around like 6 for the most part, and like a good year for him is like 8.
Yeah.
But he's 6'3", 220 in one of the most potent offenses year in, year out. Like they never really struggle to put up points, for the most part. And somehow he never hits this mark. I think this year, and their offensive coordinator said they're trying to get him in the end zone more. I think this year he gets in, and I think it will have a lot to do with the Todd Gurley threat on the ground. If he stays healthy, I think their rushing game is going to be better than it has been. Of course, health is the biggest question mark there. It certainly won't be touches though, but I think that's going to open up a lot of like bigger and deeper plays for him. If Todd Gurley shows any signs of what he used to be, I don't think he will be what he was, but if he could be like 65% or 70% of what he was, that's better than what the Falcons have had in their backfield.
Yeah.
Right. Even though I like Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, both were good backs. They weren't Todd Gurley. So, and even in the red zone, I think Todd Gurley gives them a different dynamic. So maybe it takes a little bit of those double teams off of Julio in the red zone because you got to load up the box a little bit more. Maybe that has a little bit of a, impact and he gets in the end zone a little bit more. I have him in fantasy this year in one of our paid leagues. So that had a little bit to do with this pick. But,
You know what? Whenever you said my bold predictions are Kyler Murray and Julio Jones, I went and checked the fantasy teams.
I think I just got him in. I got him in our dynasty league, and I think I have him in one other. But he's in our dynasty league. So, fantasy obviously had a little bit to do with it.
Yeah. Let me see. What bold prediction can I make from my fantasy? You know what? Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So let's let our audience in on the trade we do. I traded Devontae Adams to Coop for Edwards-Helaire. So we're gonna see how that goes. We're gonna see. I got Edwards-Helaire and Mahomes now on that team. So I'm all in on the Chiefs offense.
Yeah. So and I got Devontae Adams back in the trade, who could possibly lead the league in targets. So
yeah,
pretty fair trade, and we'll see.
And touchdowns. He's always high in touchdowns.
Exactly. Yeah. So I had to give up a little kicker in Gallup in that as well. But, projected number one in that league, which is the league I spent invested the most money into. So that's nice.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's our $10,000 league. So we're really focused on So, yeah. So that's all we got today, right? Those are our bold predictions. So make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is the biggest thing you can do for us is subscribe. If you're listening on audio, go over to YouTube, check us out, All In Network, and hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you know when our content drops, and also you know when we're potentially going live, which we're known to do nowadays. We do that sometimes. We go live. So turn on notifications so you can see that. What else, Eli?
Yeah, so you can also find the other podcasts under our network, All In Politics, who have been having some interesting discussions lately about the current state of the American democracy. So you can check that out. I think
some scary discussions.
Yeah, some scary discussions. But, things that need to be talked about.
Yep.
And with the election coming up, I think it's informative, type of show that you guys can check out here on YouTube. Also available on all audio platforms. Rainn and Bliss will be coming back soon, so stay tuned for their upcoming newest show, which will be their 12th episode. And then we also have the Beast Gaming podcast, which made its debut a couple of weeks ago. Should be coming back next week on Wednesday. Episode 3 will be dropping for that. So make sure you tune into that. They're all also available on more audio platforms now, including Anchor, Spotify, Google, Pocket Cast, some other, pretty much all of them except for Apple. I think we're still waiting on clearance for that.
Yep.
But you can catch them on the YouTube channel here as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're tuning in. We appreciate you tuning into the network so far.
Yep, absolutely. And if you missed anything Eli just said, you can go to allinnetwork.net. That's kind of the one-stop shop for all of our podcasts on the network, as well as links to our blog, which we have been doing some serious work on, and we've had some articles written by you. And we also, the young man who does our world news now, we have a world news article. What's his name, Eli?
My guy, Brent Williams, former Northeastern graduate from my alma mater, and a current Penn State Maine student. This one's less, no bias, just like weekly world news, to keep the people informed.
Yeah.
So that article, his blog will be a weekly publishing which will come out every week on Saturdays or Sundays.
Yep, it was really cool. He kind of like puts a link in there in a headline, and then he gives a little paragraph or two describing what it actually means, and not in a political way where he's trying to push something. This is what this means. So if you want unbiased news, that's a really good shop for that. allinnetwork.net. Make sure you guys check that out. Okay, guys, we will be back on Monday. This was episode 37, All In Podcast. Thanks for listening.
See you guys.